Western audiences growing tired of formulaic Disney titles is what paved the way for Japanese anime, Toei Animation veterans say. Over the past decade, anime has rapidly transformed from a niche subculture to a global industry that accounts for a huge chunk of Japan's exports. Although a lot has already been said about why anime became so big outside of Japan, it's not every day you get to hear the perspective of industry figures who are around to witness US movie theaters refusing to screen anime firsthand. Creators from Toei Animation, Japan's oldest anime studio, recently talked about the reasons behind anime's popularity that Japanese people don't know about. Speaking to President Online, Tatsuya, a veteran anime director at Toei Animation who directed Dragon Ball Super, Broly, and much of the One Piece anime, says that the reason why Japanese anime has become so big on a worldwide level is because it offers eccentric works. Right now, only Japanese animation offers bizarre stories where you truly can't predict what will happen next. Nagamine compares the position of Japan in animation to that of France, and
haute couture.
Japanese anime creators are like French designers. You could say the whole world is anxiously waiting to see what kind of strange creators they'll put out next. On a more practical note, he also mentions the importance of Japanese anime predominantly being produced for television. As airing shows rotate every 3 months, there's a constant turnover of new titles that satisfy a wide range of taste. As an antithesis to Japanese animated works, Nagamine cites the works of Disney and similar Western studios, which he considers to be formulaic. I think overseas fans of animation are already tired of predictable Disney-style works. Ironically, Toei has at occasion been referred to as the Disney of Asia, for how it pioneered animation production in the region. Toei Animation's producer and advisor Shinji doubles down on this perspective, commenting, "Japanese anime comes from comics. There is a great care put into the characters. Disney, on the other hand, has predetermined storylines, and there's always a happy ending. In Japanese anime, you may see a protagonist die halfway through, or a villain turn out to be a hero. It is made to be satisfying even for adults. Although anime is a large-scale commercial export, its roots lie in the niche realm of manga, which has been relatively free of restrictions." Shimizu suggests that this is what compelled US audiences who grew tired of Disney to turn to anime. But despite how global it has become, Toei's veterans consider that the appeal of anime lies precisely in its Japaneseness. Shimizu comments, "What the world is paying attention to in anime is Japanese culture, but not things like kabuki or sumo. It's everyday life." Citing examples such as Western viewers' fascinations with the school and campus life of students in Japan. He concludes that Japanese anime has found success by visually presenting aspects of Japanese life that don't exist overseas. On the other hand, an aspect of anime that has changed within the medium's expansion into the global market is undoubtedly the production scale and cost. Although a competition between domestic studios is also a factor, Nagamine says that audiences' expectations are why anime has become so much more detailed with time. If the quality isn't high, you can't win. And when you consider the demands of the overseas market, you have to keep raising the quality. Kadokawa, another big player in Japan's anime industry, has similarly shared plans to shift to higher budget production, which it considers a necessary condition for achieving global commercial success. So, there's a lot to unbox from this, and there is some red flags here, and some green flags. And so let's get into the green flags first. First off, we gotta talk about what the veterans at Toei are saying about why anime became popular to begin with. And that is the fact that it's niche and it's different. It is very different from what you expect from Western culture, what you expect from, let's say, MCU, what you expect from DC, what do you expect from Western films. Anime, in general, is extremely different from what you see on television or modern television movies within the West. And so a lot of people that have grown tired of the still very safe stories within Western culture, like through Disney, have eventually shifted over into anime, which I think is one of the big reasons to why Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, and other series that followed like JJK and Chainsaw Man has blown up to such an extent. It's because they are very different. Even if they are more or less kid-friendly than the average manga that you can see further into the culture, it is still very different, vastly different than what you would see from, let's say, a Disney perspective, or a Disney production. Because when you look at what you see come out, you have very safe stories that doesn't really have, let's say, the main character dying or anything like that. It's just very happy-go-lucky, and they always end on a happy note. But then you have stories like Attack on Titan that obviously doesn't really end on a completely satisfying note in terms of a happy ending. Vinland Saga could be in a similar way for some people. You have, like, you know, stories like Hunter x Hunter as well. Obviously has a lot of dark conclusions. JJK as well. Chainsaw Man, you get the point. They speak for themselves. And the point is that a lot of people that have gotten into anime, especially even from the very beginning, probably got into anime and manga because it is different. And so, what this showcases is the reason why you have such a popularity of it is because it sets itself apart. And it's clear that the industry veterans, for instance, like Toei Animation, for instance, is aware of this. They're aware of the Japanese-ness of anime. They are aware of how it is, how it's presented, and they don't want to replicate what Disney does. And I think that is a good sign. That is legitimately a good thing to hear about, because obviously the worrisome sign is that Japan might try to become the same as Disney, or become similar to Western culture, and produce content that is basically what we already get from Disney. And that has been a global concern, or a concern for a while now, for years that's been growing, ever since anime has continued to get a lot more popular. So the fact that this was said by industry veterans is a good thing. It is an actual good sign. However, what is the red flag here, the elephant in the room that does need to be talked about, is Kadokawa's statement at the bottom. Kadokawa is a big company, a massive company. You might remember them that they were potentially going to be bought out by Sony. I talked about this extensively last year, and I think at the beginning of this year. But it was a pretty big deal, and it still is, because it could still happen. Kadokawa is massive. They have a lot of stuff they own. And the fact that Kadokawa just straight up said that they are wanting to up production might seem like good news, but it's not. And let's explain. We gotta look at a recent example here of Marvel, actually. I mean, Disney is relevant to the conversation, so it is relevant. Marvel has been doing high budgets for all their films as of late for the last few years. Like, so much. Millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars on their movies. And the budgets have gotten absolutely insane. Just out of hand, honestly, for movies. And so when a movie isn't done well, or isn't bought enough, or people don't see it, it's just a colossal failure. And it's becoming more and more unrealistic to continue producing stuff that's that high of a budget. And obviously the Fantastic Four that recently came out has been brought into the public eye for this conversation. And obviously there's a lot of content creators that have talked about this in more of an extensive light than I will here, but it's clearly a problem. And a lot of people are aware of it. And so Kadokawa going out of their way to basically say that they want to raise budget for anime seems like a good thing, but it might become a spiral and get out of control to the same degree as what we clearly see in Hollywood and other Western films and stuff like that. For instance, from Disney, we see these budgets reach astronomical heights, and then the series doesn't do so well, so it makes you wonder how are they even going to be able to continue, because they're losing so much money. And so they will have a systematic effect of trying to play it safe to get as much audience to watch it, but then it turns more people away, and they lose the nature of why people wanted to watch anime to begin with. So I think there is some red flags here that obviously is an early warning sign to anime becoming like Disney, becoming like the West, and I hope I'm just actually doom posting or just saying stuff and being a doomer and this doesn't lead to anything. But we have seen this systematic effect already happen multiple times with different companies within the Western world, so it's very likely I am right on the money in calling this out correctly. Could be wrong, but it's very likely. So, overall, the big takeaway from this is that you clearly have industry veterans that are aware of the importance of keeping anime like anime, but then you have big companies like Kadokawa trying to produce a bigger budget, which could lead to anime eventually not being anime and becoming more of like a cartoon or like Western cartoons or anything like that, and playing it safe to make more money. We will see where this goes, but a very fascinating article, honestly. I will link this in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, but thank you so much for watching. You all stay safe, stay healthy, and tomorrow is going to be a big day for me. I'm finally getting my surgery. Chibi out.